An elderly guy enters an opulent shop. He is humiliated and expelled by the management, but he later regrets what he did. Friends, no matter how little they have or how much they need, I have always been a fan of individuals who are selfless in helping others and show compassion without asking anything in return. More individuals like them, who embody kindness, generosity, and light, are needed in the world. There would undoubtedly be less pain than there is right now. I was fortunate to observe the incident I'm sharing with you today while working at an upscale clothes store. I had the opportunity to see the things that I shall describe below. This will undoubtedly be a lesson that helps us to grasp how our choices have an impact on us. Therefore, we must act kindly and selflessly if we want good things. The narrative starts with Don Victoriano, an elderly man afflicted with Alzheimer's disease. Along with his wife, Alfonsina, and a nurse who assisted with his care, he had a spacious home. More than 50 years ago, Don Victoriano and Doña Alfonsina Cannavaro, two Italian immigrants, came in Guadalajara, Mexico, with nothing but hopes to pursue. Their son Felipe was about 2 years old at the time. Later on, 2 years would separate the births of Alfonso and Antonella. They began working as soon as they arrived in the city and continued for decades. Doña Alfonsina always responded, "Victoriano, a pregnant woman is not sick," despite her husband's requests for her to quit working despite the fact that she was pregnant. She has a wide range of abilities. She only has to care for herself and the child twice as much. Women must labor as long as they are healthy. That is why I selected you, dear Alfonsina, her husband would often remark, filled with love and, of course, pride. Doña Alfonsina assisted Don Victoriano, a tailor, with everything, including cutting and receiving orders. Maybe more than they should have, they worked all their lives. They persevered, and always would, even though they were now in their third age, until their health would no longer allow it. Sadly, that time arrived. Don Victoriano started exhibiting the initial symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. He was becoming more and more reliant on his wife and less involved in the firm, until his children had to take over everything when he was 76 years old. They forced him to stay at home under continual observation and hired a nurse. Thus, Don Victoriano stayed confined to his house and thoughts. It had only been 5 months when, as a result of a cunning mistake on the part of the nurse, Don Victoriano left the house to see his favorite firm. He was never seen again by his family. One day, about 4 years later, a disheveled and filthy guy showed up at the upscale apparel company's main store. The man begged, "Dad, please help me," when he noticed the young cashier. "I would like to speak with a member of my family." "Yes, sir, I will help you, but tell me, who are you?" the young woman answered. "Victoriano," the old man replied. "Someone from the Cannavaro family, please. Inform them that I have returned." The customers inside the business mocked the elderly man for his ripped clothes and foul odor as this was going on. The old guy was asked, "Who are you?" by the store manager, who immediately came due to the intense ridicule. "Where should you be familiar with the Cannavaro family?" "I am Victoriano, Alfonsina's spouse and the company's creator," the elderly man retorted. The manager chuckled, a dehumanizing laugh full of ridicule and incredulity. He laughed and then added, "Yeah, of course. The family of Don Victoriano has undoubtedly been searching for him for years, as you have probably seen on the news." "How did you say that? You'll be able to persuade them with ease and guarantee yourself a prosperous existence for the remainder of your days?" "No, master." The manager spoke in a different tone. He shoved him out and yelled, "Get out of here immediately before I call the police!" Seated in a corner beside the shop, the impoverished and defenseless elderly man gazed at the enormous building he had laboriously constructed, remembering the families and workers who had profited from the work he and his family had done. Occasionally, his sickness caused his memories to become scattered, so he would cry and then forget why he had done it. It was Gloria, the youthful cashier. She had watched with much sorrow as the elderly guy was treated cruelly and unfairly. It is inconsequential that it isn't Don Victoriano. No one should be abandoned to the streets in that manner. Gloria thought, that poor elderly man needs help. The teenage cashier bided her time until the last possible moment, and after the commotion subsided, she quietly departed the establishment. When she arrived to the elderly man's location, She greeted him with a, "Hello, sir. How come you're trying to find the Cannavaro family?" With a bewildered expression, the elderly guy gazed at her. "Miss, please, please, please." "I am Cannavaro," Don Victoriano stammered out. What little clarity and sanity he still had was already gone. Gloria took care of the elderly guy since her mother was ill, and she was aware of the sickness the man was suffering from right away because her maternal grandpa also had Alzheimer's. She needed to move fast to aid the elderly guy before the shop noticed her absence. Right away, she brought him to a tiny motel where she requested the management to keep him entertained with whatever was required until she got back from work. Gloria never stopped seeing Don Victoriano. She just didn't have the time or resources to send him to a state facility that specialized in care for the elderly with these types of issues. Gloria would take him there that same day. Don Victorino mistook her for Alfonsina at times and Antonella at others. Despite everything, Gloria was at ease since she knew the poor old guy finally received the attention he deserved after going through so much hardship on the streets. When December arrived, the owners fed their employees a special meal, just like they did every year. They shared at that time as a family. Felipe, Alfonso, and Antonella always asked their employees how they felt throughout the meeting and listened to any additional problems they had, just as Don Victorino had instructed them to do. Don Victorino has always placed a high importance on his workers' welfare, claiming that the business could not function without them. Subsequently, a worker claimed to be Don Victoriano and brought up the incident with the elderly guy who had visited the store. After a few moments of intense stillness, Felipe broke the gap by asking, "Please, could you give me more details about what happened that day?" The young guy admitted his lack of knowledge, but he also revealed Gloria's vast knowledge, having picked him up off the street after the management had ejected him and brought him to an institution. As the family and staff listened intently, Felipe requested Gloria to tell him all that had transpired with the elderly guy. Gloria brought the family to the institution where she had brought the disheveled old guy the next day. As they saw him as they went inside the room, they were ecstatic beyond measure. With passion, they sobbed, yelled, and hugged. Don Victorino Cannavaro was the one. Feeling very touched, Gloria brushed away her emotions and quietly exited the room to let the family to savor the occasion. The Cannavaro youngsters went looking for Gloria a few minutes later to express their gratitude for everything she had done, but they were unable to locate her. She had come back to work at the store. Felipe sent for Gloria and the manager that same day. The president told the young woman that she deserved more than what he was going to give her when she came into his office. "I want you to know that our family is here to support you in every way. I want you to know how much I respect and adore you. You are an amazing individual. This family's sorrow has been lifted by you, especially my mother's, who was unable to handle the loss." Felipe said, "You are the new manager," as he went on. "Many congratulations." Gloria no longer had to worry or suffer. She was able to take her grandfather to a facility designed specifically for those suffering from Alzheimer's disease and employ a nurse for her mother. I appreciate you seeing. Would you kindly like and post the video on social media? We'll respond to you as soon as we can.